demo, there are multiple steps involved. So the first step is creating a VM instance in the GCP cloud. And the second step is like we need to connect to the VM instance that we create from the GCP platform using SSH web browser. In third step, we need to install the Airflow on that VM instance from the CLI. And later on, we need to change the databases and as well as the executor of the Airflow configuration. And then we will prepare a sample DAG and then we test it and later we monitor the same DAG from the web server user interface. So in order to finish all these steps, let's get started with the first step, that is VM instance creation. In step 1, we create one VM instance on the Google Cloud platform. GCE is one of the service from the GCP. It stands for Google Compute Engine. So creating a GCE VM instance is having multiple options. One option is creating the GCE VM instance from the Google Cloud Console. And we have other options like Cloud CLI and client libraries and Google Cloud Platform API also. But I am picking the Google Cloud Console option, which is very familiar and easy to create the cloud GCE VM instance. Before that, let me explain you what is actually a virtual machine is. A virtual machine is a digital version of a physical computer. That means it's the digital version. The computer will be there in the data centers. You will be connected to that physical computer through digital media. So that's the reason it is the virtual machine. So virtual machine software can run the programs and even operating systems, and it stores the data and even it connects to the networks. Very important. Finally, it is required some maintenance such as updating the softwares and system monitoring. Having known all of them, let's get started the first step, like creating the Google Compute Engine. So for this, we have to move on to the free tier account. This is my free tier account. I do have a project, my project under this account. In this page, we have some options for creating the VM instance in the Google Cloud Platform. So in order to know how to come to this page, first of all, we need to click on this navigation menu. And if you have some products and solutions option, then you can click on this all products. And from there also you can select the compute option. And then under the compute category, you will be having the VM instance. So from that also you can create the VM instance. And one more option, like if you come down here under the compute section, you will be having the compute engine. So here also you can click on the VM instances. So if you click on the VM instances, you will be directed to this page. Now, please take a look at this one. It is the instance one, which is already running in this project. So it is already created. So now, for the demo purpose, we are going to create one more VM instance by following certain steps while creating this VM instance. So in order to create the VM instance, first click on the Create Instance button. Once you click on the VM instance Create button, you will be directed to this page. In this page, you will be able to see some of the options like, first of all, to create the VM instance from these four options. See, out of these four options, I am going to pick up this new VM instance creation from the scratch. That means by providing all the details, you can create the VM instance. You have other options also. This is like from creating the template, and it is like from the vision image, and it is like from the marketplace. But I am picking up this one, very important. And coming to this part, here you have multiple options. So this is name. So here you need to provide the name for this VM instance. And here You can select the region or the zone for this VM instance. Very important. If you select one region and for creating of this instance, it is the permanent one. It is not editable. Once the VM instance is created, you cannot change these two options, region and zone. So here in the naming convey in the while giving the name to this particular VM instance, even you need to follow some naming guidelines. What are they? The name for the VM instance should be having 3 to 62 lowercase letters, and it allows the numbers or even hyphens, but it doesn't allow. That means it should not be ended with a hyphen, though it allows the hyphens. So that is the main thing you need to know. Now I am giving a name to the VM instance, that is airflow VM instance. And coming to the other options, we have the mission configurations. So in the mission configuration section, you have the four options. Out of these four options, you can select any one of them. General purpose, compute optimized, memory optimized, and even GPUs. See, compute optimized will be having these series, memory optimized will be having these M series options, and GPU you will be having the NVIDIA T4 and other kind of options. But out of these four options, I am selecting the general purpose. When I am changing these mission configurations, you will be able to understand one thing. The monthly estimate breakdown chart is getting updated here. So this shows you how much amount is going to be charged for this VM instance. You know, it is hourly based. It is saying like hourly based. Let us not get into the details of the price and all these things, because our main purpose for this demo is how to install Airflow on the VM instance, and once it is installed, how to deploy the dags, how to run them, how to test them, how to monitor them. That is our main motto for this demo. So I don't want to get into all the details of this page while creating this VM instance. But here for this purpose, demo purpose, I am selecting under the mission type. I am going to change this A2 medium 2 vCPUs with 4 GB memory in order to avoid some complications while running the Airflow DB and web server. So now I am changing this configuration from the shared core to standard, and even with the A2 standard core with 16 GB memory. And coming to the other options, like especially with the boot disk, I am changing the Debian GNU Linux 11 to Ubuntu by clicking on the change button. You can select the operating system. You have the plenty of operating systems here: CentOS, Debian, Fedora, and all these things. I'm selecting the Ubuntu. So using this one, I will run this Airflow environment on this VM instance created. So now I am not selecting any other options from this identity and API accesses, but from the firewall section, I am selecting Airflow HTTP, allow HTTP traffic, and allow HTTPS traffic. So it will allow these two traffics. HTTP is for 80 port number, and HTTPS is for the 443 port numbers. So coming to the other options, I'm not changing anything. Simply I'm clicking on the create. Now the GCP will allocate some mission for this one, and even it will allocate some resources which are very important while creating this VM instance. For this, it will take at least 20 to 30 seconds of time. Okay, it is already created. It takes less than 20 seconds for creation of this VM instance. Okay, and now we have the VM instance ready. So now what we need to do, our next step in this process is like we have to we have to we have to connect to this VM through the SSH. So that is our second step. So let's move on to the second step, that is to connect to this VM instance from the SSH connect. So here, we have the internal IP address and external IP address and the zone US Central A. So the mission is spinning from this particular zone. And now we have the SSH. So if you click on this one, the very first option is open in browser window. So as I said, we are going to connect to this mission from this browser window. It will take hardly 1 to 2 minutes to establish a connection from this web page to our SSH server, and we need to authorize this one. So once the authorization is given, then the connection will be established. Then you will be able to run some Linux commands from this. You can install the Airflow from this CLI. Very important. Now, in order to do this one, so we have to run some commands to install the Python and even to install the Airflow. Let's do that one. Now let's run sudo apt get update command. It will update this VM instance. Yes. Now let us run other commands one by one. The very next command, sudo install python 3 pip sudo apt get install python 3 pip. It will install the pip for the Python packages. So we need to give the capital Y and then hit the enter button. So now the pip package is going to be installed for the Python environment. So now for the Python interpreter, we will be installing the virtual environment also. So for that, we need to run one more command. So once the Python virtual environment package is installed, we need to create one virtual environment for Python interpreter. So that we can avoid the global software installation issues from the virtual environment. So that is the main important thing we need to know. Sudo 50 install virtual. So this package will be installed on our machine. It's the virtual environment for the Python integration. So once the virtual environment is a package installed, and we need to create one virtual environment for this Airflow package. So that is our next step. So we need to use the virtual environment package to create this one virtual env -p Python virtual environment name. So that is VNV I am giving here. So with this one, you can create the virtual environment for the Python interpreter. So it is very important for us. So once that is created, you can check whether it is created or not. So by running the ls command. So now we need to activate this virtual environment, which is very important. Like we will avoid other complications from global installations on this mission. So very important. We need to activate this one. For this, we need to run the source VNV and then /bin and then activate. this command will activate this virtual environment. Now you can see the virtual environment is activated. So from this environment only, we will be installing all the required Python packages and other kind of installations so that it cannot be altered, modified, or even it will not give you any complications from the global installations. So now clear this. Now what we need to know? We need to run the airflow installation command because we have created the virtual environment. Our next step is to install the airflow. So for that, we have a special command that is pip install Apache Airflow. So the is equal, and if you run that command, I will provide that command in the comment section, so you can have that one. So using that one, you can run the airflow installation command. So once the airflow is installed, yes. So yeah, airflow is installed. We can even check that one by running the ls command. Of course. Okay. To know that airflow is installed, or before that, we need to run the airflow db init. So it will start the installation of the airflow database. So now we have the SQLite. See, very important for the initial installation. By default, it comes up with the database with the SQLite only. So in the later steps, we are going to change the SQLite database to the Postgres. So before that, let me run the ls command. Now you will be having one more folder here. So that is airflow. So which is very essential for this airflow environment. Now we need to move on to the airflow folder. So once you get into this airflow folder, then run again the ls command. Now you will be able to see which is very important. So this is the configuration file, and this is the database file, and it is the logs folder. So these are other folders under this airflow which are very important. Now in the next steps, we are going to change the airflow configurations. So from the SQLite database to the PostgreSQL, and one more even the executor also. So before that, let me show you what is the SQL database. Now it is running on this airflow environment, and even the executor also. For that, we have two commands. That is the grep command. So using this grep command, you can know about the executor from the airflow config file. So if you run this one, it will denote you about the executor. Now our current executor is the sequential executor. We are going to change the sequential executor to the local executor in coming steps, and even we need to know about the present database, airflow database. So for that, we need to run the correct equal alchemy command. So if you run this one, you will be able to find our SQL alchemy connection. So SQLite home and the airflow DB. That means here we are having the SQLite database here. So we need to change this one. So in order to do that one, I will run the specific commands to change this. Clear. Now use this command to change the sequential executor to the local executor. It is a set command. If you run this one, the sequential executor will be changed from the configuration file to the local executor. So very important. Now if you run the previous command, executor, now so the executor is changed from the sequential executor to the local executor, which is very important. So now our next step is to run the other command which will change the SQLite database to the Postgres. Let us clear the screen, and then we need to run the following command. Sudo apt install Postgres with SQL, because to change the SQLite database to the Postgres SQL, so we have to install the Postgres database first. That's the reason I'm running this command, and you need to give the warning, and then it will install the Postgres SQL database on this machine. Okay, now the Postgres is installed on this machine. Now we need to run the sudo system control start Postgres SQL in order to start the Postgres SQL database, and then we need to enable the Postgres SQL. Now we have started the Postgres SQL database. Then we need to create the database for the Airflow and even the users list and all these things for this Airflow environment. In order to do that one, first of all, we have to run this command sudo -i-u Postgres SQL. So to run this command, even you can run the Postgres also. So once you run this command, you will be entering into the Postgres database. So if Postgres SQL command is not working, then you can directly use the Postgres. Now you enter into the Postgres database. So now you can take a look at Postgres Airflow VM instance. Now after entering into this one, you need to create the database and users, and even you need to grant the permissions for that user. Very important one. So first of all, let me enter into the Postgres SQL, and then so now we are at the Postgres SQL database. We need to use the Postgres SQL commands: create database, Airflow. The database is created. Even you can create the user. So create user Airflow with password Airflow. That means we are giving the user ID Airflow and even password as Airflow. So the role is created. Once we created the Airflow and even the user for this one, we need to grant the certain permissions to use this one. That's the reason I am running the sequence, consecutive command. That is very important. Please remember that one. Grant privileges on database Airflow to Airflow. So he is the user, and that's the reason we are using like grant all privileges. We need to write all privileges on database Airflow to Airflow. Yes, now the granting is succeeded. That means we created the Airflow database, we created the Airflow user with the password Airflow, and even we give the we grant the access for this particular database for this Airflow. So all these steps are done. So now we need to come out of this Postgres. For this, you need to press the Control D, and one more time you need to yes, two times you need to give the Control D commands. Now you are in the Airflow environment. Now clear the screen. Now you can check the grep command like SQL alchemy connection. airflow ELG. Now, if you look at this one, our SQL connection is not yet changed. For that one, we have to change this SQLite connection to the PostgreSQL. So for that, we have to run this specific command for this one using the set. Yeah. So this is the command for this one. You know the set command. This is the SQLite current path for this one SQL connection. Home Lahu 2018 honey airflow DB. Now it is going to be changed to the PostgreSQL, and this is the main command for changing the SQLite database to the Postgres. Now after running this one, you can check the grep command this time. Now if you look at this one, this time the SQL connection is changed from the SQLite to the PostgreSQL.